A lot of people want to know what the best single piece of advice is for a beginner engineer, or an engineer at any level, really. Or what's the best part about mixing? What's the worst? Well, I'm going to answer it. Let's go. Yo, what's good, guys? Inswain with Inswain Audio. Welcome back. If you're new, you know the deal. Subscribe and stick around because I drop videos every single day. You're not going to want to miss them. But anyways, today I'm going to answer a question that someone had off of Reddit regarding advice for beginners, and their favorite and least favorite parts about mixing. Let's go. They said favorite/least favorite tip when it comes to starting out. Hey all, so I've been a guitar player for 15 years, and for the first time I've decided to finally learn to record and mix my own songs. I'm curious for everyone's input. I've been watching clips, reading threads, trying anything to get some baseline info down. It's amazing how quickly your ear can learn and pick up things in songs. I know everyone has their own ways, and I love that. Music should be personalized. Therefore, what would you say is your favorite part of mixing, least favorite part, one tip or golden rule you'd offer a newbie? If you're curious, I'm starting with a 5758-7B Logic Pro and a cheap PreSonus interface. Okay, so for me, my favorite part of mixing is when it works. Let me explain. So when you have a vision for a song in your head of how it should sound and you get that to work, that feeling is so satisfying, and you feel like it's almost like you have imposter syndrome, and then you do it and you're like, oh my God, like I made my mix sound like my favorite mixes. Like I'm an engineer. I could do this. I make music. Like this isn't a hobby. I really do this. And just the satisfaction of getting your song to sound like the one you want it to. You're like, mine sounds just as professional as everything else. Like that's a very satisfying feeling. And it feels like when you solve a puzzle, it's like it's super difficult, confusing, so many things to consider. It takes time, but then you finally finish it and figure it out. And it's that satisfaction of completion. And similarly, I would say it's also a really good feeling when you do that for someone else, whether you do it for your own mix and you're like, yeah, I make good music now, or you do it for somebody else and they feel like, yo, you made my song sound so great. That feeling is really good, whether it's for you or for someone else. It's kind of the same, but different. So I'd say that's my favorite part of mixing, is when it all comes together. My least favorite part, if you want something specific, I would say comping vocals. Not fun. Takes forever. For some reason, I always feel like I'm about to fall asleep when I'm doing it. Like I just don't like it, but it needs to be done. And I understand it's super important. And on the same token, when you finally get it to start coming together and you got a whole section comped and it sounds perfect, it's very satisfying. So it's kind of like a microcosm of the last example, but yeah, that task is very tedious. But I would say more, zoomed out philosophically, my least favorite part is the opposite of my favorite, of when everything works, and say when everything doesn't work and you feel like you can't get a mix to work. That can be frustrating, but you just got to remember that's part of the process, and that's just going to make the payoff when you do get it to work feel even better. And one golden rule that I would offer is that there is no golden rule. That's the golden rule, is that there is no rules. There's very few things that are like hard yeses or hard nos, or like always do's or never do's. Even something like clipping, which a lot of people think you should never do. If you do it intentionally, it can work sometimes. Obviously, that's very rare and niche, and you got to be intentional with it. But still, the point is there's very few, if any, things that it's like, always do this, never do this, this is good, this is bad. It's all very subjective. And that's probably what makes it so difficult, is we have so many technical things to learn and understand. What's a ratio, what's a knee, what's that curve, all those things. But then on top of that, once you finally figure all that out, then you realize that none of it is good or bad. It's all just go ahead and make what you think is good, and hopefully other people agree. There's no rules. So that's why it's very hard. So I'd say that would be my biggest piece of advice to a beginner, is that there is no hard rules. And even a step further is, if people are on the internet telling you hard rules, you probably want to steer clear of them, or at least that piece of advice. I always try to say, this is what I do or what I like most of the time or sometimes, but I always leave that caveat because it's not always the case. People that say never compress more than 3 dBs, guess what? That's objectively wrong. There's songs that are successful that compress more than 3 dBs that people like. So there is no hard rules. And that's what makes it so difficult to learn, and also difficult to teach, because I'm on here trying to tell you, hey, nothing matters, do what sounds good. It's like, how many videos of that can you make, But at the same time, I want to be helpful and provide specific tips and tricks that can help people. But then I also have to be careful, because I don't want them to go and put that on every song, because that's not what I intend, and it's not what I mean, and it's not going to work. So that is what I would tell a beginner, is the best part is when you start to get it all to come together. at any level, it feels really good. My personal least favorite part is comping vocals, but editing in general, but it's part of it. It's super important. That's the key to a good mix. That's the secret. Don't let them know. Editing. And the biggest rule is there is no rules. So there you have it, guys. Let me know down in the comments below if you like this, if you agree, if you disagree. What would you give advice to a beginner or to your previous self? I'd love to hear that. Or if you have video suggestions, drop them down below. As always, please make sure to like and comment. Like, subscribe, I don't know. Do the things that are going to help this get seen to other people, man. I need y'all. I appreciate it. Anyways, man, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Inswain with Inswain Audio. Peace.